Welcome to Stupid Christian Comments episode 13. This video series presents and addresses some of the amazingly stupid comments by Christians found on the internet. This week's reading is brought to you by Jen. Check out her Flickr page here.
He didn't answer you, so I will. Number 1, the Bible and the views of the majority of people in every great society since the dawn of time profess belief in one God, which is correct, or many. Firstly, the Bible states clearly that God exists, but since this isn't going to be enough for you, I'll continue. There's no argument you can make, scientific or otherwise, that faith in a supreme being occurring worldwide in so many different places with vastly different cultures, levels of scientific knowledge, and in so many different time periods is just a coincidence. If God doesn't exist, then why do humans still, by and large, have spiritual, if not full-on religious, beliefs? It isn't ignorance, like most atheists claim, because it's too widespread a phenomenon, even among scientists themselves. Of course, there is another argument, and that is that there are so many different variables, both on Earth and across the universe at large, that both needed to get to and stay within very, very limited ranges for life on Earth to begin and develop into what it is today, that the very thought of everything in the universe being due to perfectly chaotic chance chemical reactions and environmental developments is absolutely preposterous, bordering on insane. Logic dictates that something must be at work to have kept these chance occurrences, happening at the right times, in the right order and in the right circumstances for the desired result, the universe today. If not, then the only other option is that millions of chance natural events that could have had multiple different outcomes occurred perfectly and continued doing so for millions upon millions of years. That's the same as saying that instead of someone pulling the needle out of a haystack the extent of the universe moved itself to allow the right needles to be found at the right time since the dawn of time, which is absolutely, unequivocally impossible. As for number 2, that's easy. God loves all his creations, even those who forsake his gift of everlasting life, as opposed to damnation, which we as sinners all truly deserve, so much so that he gave up his only Son to give humans said everlasting life, and so much that God himself mourns for each non-believer that he cast into the lake of fire for their stubbornness and refusal to accept the greatest gift that could ever be given.
The fact that the large majority of people now and in the past have professed a belief in a god or gods has no bearing on whether a god actually exists. The number of people believing in a thing does not make it true. This is a classic example of the fallacy known as argumentum ad populum, which is a fallacious argument that concludes that a proposition is true because many or most people believe it. Brandon Burton makes a slew of comments that he does not back up with evidence. How do you know that a God exists? How have you concluded that there is only one God? Why do you trust the Bible to be a source of knowledge into the existence of a God? What theists, and Christians especially, must come to understand is that skeptics, such as myself, give no authoritative weight to the Bible. If your argument starts with, "the Bible states," you have already failed in providing evidence of your claim. Place yourself in my situation for a moment. Imagine you were in a debate with a Mormon who offered evidence to prove his religion was the true one by arguing from the Pearl of Great Price. How about a Muslim arguing from the Quran? Neither line of argumentation would satisfy you because you do not subscribe to their religions or their texts. Mormons, Muslims, and all other religions hold as fact that their particular religion and religious text is the one and true path to eternal life in God. What theists ought to do is seriously undergo the outsider test of faith. This test essentially amounts to evaluating your own religion as an outsider would. Continuing further down the comment, Brandon claims that there is no argument that I can make, scientific or otherwise, that can explain the beliefs in gods across Earth and history. And he states that surely it cannot be merely coincidence. Firstly, no one known is the holder of all knowledge and all possible arguments, so to assert that no argument is possible would require a person to exhaust every conceivable argument, made or to be made, and then conclude thusly. The best a person could state is that no argument yet conceived can account for beliefs in a God across the globe and throughout history. This claim, however, is factually incorrect. A very simple, tidy argument has been expressed that possibly illustrates why a God belief has been so prevalent. Hypersensitive agency detection. As a means to our survival, humans evolved agent detection in the wild to curb the risk of death. In situations of potential danger, such as a moving bush, it was safer to assume a predator was near and run than to assume the cause was the wind. If they ran and it was the wind, no harm done. If they ran and it was a predator, they survived another day. If they stayed and it was the wind, no harm done. If they stayed and the moving bush was caused by a predator, they ended up a meal and no chance to procreate. This agency detection eventually led to attributing all sorts of natural occurrences to unseen intelligent agents. The wind, rain, thunder, sun, disease, death, just to name a few. As our species grew more advanced and accumulated more of these beliefs of intelligent agents working out of sight, local beliefs congealed and formed the earliest examples of religions. To get from there to today, all you need is a healthy dose of time and the writing down of the subjective, uneducated, ignorant experiences of a largely anonymous people living in the past. Continuing further, we find Brandon formulating the old and tired fine-tuning argument that is worthy only of a brief response. Sure, if the constants in the universe were even a little bit different from what they currently are, we wouldn't have the universe we have. So what? We cannot know what such a universe would look like. Perhaps a different chemistry would be in effect. Perhaps the universe would be teeming with life. We simply don't know if the descriptive laws we see in the universe could be anything other than what they currently are. The fine-tuning argument fails even before it gets started. Lastly, I will address Brandon's final few claims in quick succession. 1. If a God exists, I see no evidence that he loves his creation. Please check out this video I've already created to address this point. 2. I have yet to be offered a gift of everlasting life by anyone, so it's impossible for me to forsake it. 3. I have a better opinion of humanity than clearly Brandon does. I do not believe that anyone is deserving of eternal damnation for the wrongs they have committed. There is nothing one can do to deserve infinite punishment. 4. I don't see how sacrificing God's alter ego, Jesus, to himself to save us from himself is showing us love. Additionally, what kind of sacrifice is it if Jesus died and remained dead for only 3 days and is now currently with God the Father? At best, you can say that he had a rough weekend, but I see no sacrifice. And 5. What does it say about a God that creates a place like hell and sends humans there for the crime of disbelief? Why is disbelief such a punishable crime? Disbelief of a God's existence is not about being stubborn in the face of overflowing evidence. It is about following the evidence, or lack thereof, where it leads. The lack of evidence for a God's existence leads skeptically minded people to the position of atheism. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button and subscribe. If you can spare a few dollars to support the efforts of this channel, visit my Patreon page and become a patron today. Looking for a great place to communicate with vegans, atheists, theists, and non-vegans from across the globe? Consider joining the Vegan Atheist Forum. Our growing community is always looking for new members with whom we can share our experiences, debate issues, discuss, and learn from each other. Join the conversation at theveganatheist.com/forum.